Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be talking about how we solve square roots. We're going to spend a couple of days talking about this topic, so you're going to get a couple of opportunities to show what you know. So in this first problem, here's kind of the new thing that we should be noticing. Now our variable, the one we want to solve for, is squared. And that makes our job a little bit harder. Now our job's going to kind of remain the same insofar as we're still got to get that alone first before we go anywhere else. Now remember, when we're trying to get that alone, we always unhook the piece that's added or subtracted first. Since that's a plus 6, we are going to subtract 6 from both sides, which makes that cancel. Now I'm going to be left with 25k to the second is equal to 25. Now to finish the problem, we need to come over here, and since 25 is hooked on by multiplication, we're going to unhook it using division. And that's going to make those two cancel off. So we're going to be left with k squared is equal to 1, because 25 divided by 25 is 1. Now this is where it gets to the new part, right? This is the new stuff. So you can make a note of that, the new stuff. Since k is not alone here, we still have more work to do. And this is the work. What undoes squaring something, right? Everything has something that undoes it. Adding undoes subtracting, subtracting undoes adding. Multiplying undoes dividing, dividing undoes multiplying. What undoes squaring something is taking the square root. Now, that's going to mean these two pieces are going to cancel each other off, and we're just going to be left with k. Now, the square root of 1 is 1. And just like that, we're done. Nice job, guys. So we'll take that and run with it. Here's our next problem. We got to get p squared alone. So we're going to start by getting rid of the extra piece. Get rid of the 1. It's a positive 1 right now, so we're going to subtract it. That's going to leave us with 36p squared. 10 take away 1 is 9. Now, this is where we're going to run into a little bit of work with decimals, but that's okay. So I want to divide both sides by 36. That makes that go away, and I'm going to be left with p squared. Now, 9 divided by 36, let's just even get used to using our calculator on these. 9 divided by 36 is 0.25. So we're just going to leave it as 0.25. Now, to finish this off, remember, to undo the square, we need to take the square root of both sides. That's the new stuff. This and this go away, so I'm going to be left with p equals... Now, on your calculator, you should have a square root button. And it's important to know where that button is. On my calculator, it's right here. You can kind of see that square root symbol. But I have to use my second key to get there. Try to find yours on your calculator. And if you're having trouble, please make sure you're reaching out to me. So I'm going to do second square root of 0.25. And I get 0.5. Which means that will be my answer. Nice job. Let's do another one. So here's another problem for us. First thing we want to do, let's get rid of that minus 5. The way you undo minusing is you add. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. 25v squared is equal to negative 1 plus 5. You can always use a calculator if you need it. I typed that in wrong. Negative 1 plus 5 is positive 4. Now, we're going to divide by 25 on both sides. I'm going to be left with v squared is equal to 4 divided by 25, which is 0.16. And then, to get the square root, or then to get rid of the v squared, we want to take the square root of both sides. So that will leave me with just v, and the square root of 16, or I'm sorry, actually, I should say the square root of 0.16 is equal to 0.4, which will make that our answer. Let's go to problem number 4. So looking at this problem, again, let's get rid of the 8 right away. We're going to subtract it because we were adding it before. So I'm going to be left with 4n squared is equal to 17, take away 8 is 9. Now I'm going to divide off the 4 and divide off the 4. So I'm going to be left with n squared is equal to 9 divided by 4, which is 2.25. Now this is that new part we were talking about. To get rid of the squared, we take the square root. So this and this cancel off. So I'm going to be left with n equals. Now 2.25, if I take the square root of that, second square root, 2.25, I get 1.5. So that will be my answer. Let's look at problem number 5. We got a few more of these left to go. So on this problem, let's get rid of the 8 to start. So we're going to start by adding 8 to both sides. 8 plus 8 is 16. And that's going to leave me with 49x squared. Now, before we can take the square root, we got to get rid of the 49. So we're going to divide and divide. That's going to leave me with x squared is equal to 16 divided by 49. Now that's a big number, and it didn't give us like a nice one, so we're going to round it to 2 decimal places. So since it's 3 or 0.326, since 6 is bigger than 5, it's going to round the next one up to 3.3. Or 3.33, I should say. Now, to finish the problem, we want to square root both sides. And that will leave us with x equals the square root of 0.33 is 0.57. Now it's technically 0.574, but since 4 is smaller than 5, it doesn't round up to 7, so we're going to leave it right there. Let's go to problem number 6. Start by adding 5 to both sides. These two cancel off. We're going to be left with 9x squared is equal to 9. Now, to get x alone, we need to divide off the 9. These two are going to go away. And we're going to be left with x squared is equal to 9 divided by 9 is, of course, 1. Now, at this point, we get to take the square root of both sides, which makes this and this cancel. So I'm just left with x. And then the square root of 1, don't be afraid to punch it in, is just 1. So we are done right there. Nice job. Let's look at another one. I think we got 2 left, and then you guys are going to be working on your homework. So here we go. Let's get rid of the 7 to start. Since it's minus, we're going to add 7. 42 plus 7 is, of course, 49. 64, n to the second, drops down. Now I'm trying to get n all by itself, or n squared, so I'm going to get rid of the 64 using division. So that's going to leave me with n squared equals 49 divided by 64 is equal to 0.765. Remember, 5 is enough to round it up, so we're going to call it 0.77. And then I just need to get n alone, so this is where we get to come through and take the square root of both sides. Remember, the square and the square root cancel each other off, so we're just left with whatever was inside. So second square root, 0.77, is equal to 0.877. And remember, 7's big enough, so it rounds up the next one to an 8. So I'm going to have 0.88. Let's do one more together, and then you guys are going to get going on your homework. Now in this one, it's unique to see that the a is kind of over here. So we're going to get rid of this piece first. So to get rid of a minus 3, we're going to add 3 to both sides. That's going to give us 4a squared. 1 plus 3 is, of course, 4. Now we got to get rid of the 4, so we're going to divide that off. We're going to be left with a squared. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And of course, this is the spot that's new. We want to take the square root of both sides. These two cancel each other off, so we're just going to be left with a. And the square root of 1 should still be 1. So we get 1 as our final answer. Thank you guys so much for watching the full video. If you have any questions, please make sure you are reaching out and asking. Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.